Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive, hidden global shift that is literally going to define wealth generation for the next 30 years. While everyone else is looking the other way, there is a profound financial and geopolitical restructuring happening right under our noses. We're talking about the Arctic power play. It's a literal reshaping of the global map, and it's all about securing the ultimate modern frontier, critical minerals. If you really want to understand where the real leverage is heading in the coming decades, you absolutely need to pay attention to this.
Think about it. Right now, the public is completely captivated by the headlines. People are losing their minds over the newest AI software update, or they're frantically trying to chase the next tiny 2% move in tech stocks. But honestly, that frenzy is just a public distraction. The smart money is quietly looking right past all that software hype, and they are loading the boat on the hard assets that actually make that technology exist in the first place. They're positioning themselves for this Arctic power play because they recognize a global power transition that most people are totally missing, simply because they think the far north is just about some melting ice.
To really grasp why this is so incredibly urgent, we have to look at the current reality of the global board. As it stands today, China controls a staggering 75% of the world's rare earth minerals. That leaves the entire rest of the world fighting over a tiny 25% slice of the pie. It's an immense chokehold, and it grants Beijing absolutely unprecedented global leverage.
And let's be clear, these rare earth minerals aren't just for making your smartphone a little faster. No, these are the absolute non-negotiable inputs for the most vital technologies on Earth. We're talking AI chips, highly advanced defensive missile systems, and the entire electric vehicle revolution. Without these very specific inputs, Western economies essentially stop breathing. If the door on that primary supply gets slammed shut, you literally can't build the defense systems that protect nations, and you can't build the AI infrastructure that's supposed to power our future. The stakes really are that high.
Now, you might remember a few years back when Donald Trump publicly floated the idea of the U.S. buying Greenland. At the time, it got a lot of confused reactions, right? But if you view it purely through a strategic lens, it actually makes perfect sense. The source material frames this perfectly. Don't think of Greenland as just a giant ice sheet. Think of it as an aircraft carrier made of minerals. What a vivid metaphor, right? It perfectly captures the sheer, raw geopolitical value of the region. This is all about recognizing exactly where the untapped resources of the 21st century are actually buried.
And the physical landscape up there in the far north, it's actively changing. As the ice melts, we are seeing brand new shipping lanes open up. These are entirely new global arteries that can connect North America, Europe, and Asia way faster than the traditional routes. These new supply chains could grant the United States decades of immense geopolitical leverage. Because at the end of the day, whoever controls these newly opened lanes and the minerals flowing through them fundamentally controls the future of global business.
So the big question is, how does the smart money actually position for a macroeconomic shift of this massive scale? Well, it all comes down to a classic strategy known as picks and shovels. You know the old saying about the gold rush, right? The people who consistently made the most money weren't usually the ones out there digging in the dirt for gold. They were the guys selling the picks and the shovels to the miners. Applied to the Arctic power play, this means you don't try to build the final AI software or the end-stage power grid. Instead, you secure those underlying inputs. You invest in the absolute foundation that everyone else is going to be forced to buy from.
And the crazy thing is, there's already incredible momentum building behind this exact thesis. Just look at the year-to-date gains of 3 specific picks and shovels companies highlighted in our source material. We're seeing MP Materials up 31%, Energy Fuels up 39%, and U.S. Antimony up 38%. Make no mistake, capital is already rotating as the broader market finally wakes up to how necessary these operations are. So let's break down exactly why each of these 3 specific names is standing out from the pack.
Let's start with MP Materials, ticker symbol MP. This company is absolutely critical because they operate the only large-scale rare earth mine currently functioning in the United States. They are literally the domestic backbone of this entire industry. And what's super telling here is that while China is trying to defend its dominance, MP Materials is sitting there with secured contracts directly from the U.S. Department of Defense. That is a massive signal. It shows a definitive government-backed pivot away from relying on Beijing.
Next up is Energy Fuels, ticker UUUU. This one is uniquely mission-critical because it sits perfectly at the intersection of 2 major global trends: energy security and mineral supply. Remember how we were talking about AI being a distraction? Well, the reality is that AI data centers are absolutely starving for immense amounts of energy, specifically reliable nuclear power.
Energy Fuels processes the uranium needed for that nuclear power. And on top of that, they process rare earth elements. So they're literally bridging the gap between the insatiable energy demands of AI and the physical processing of the minerals needed to build it. It's an incredible position to be in.
Then we have the third stock, U.S. Antimony, ticker UAMY. The source frames this company as a bit of a silent beast. While retail investors are out chasing the loud, hyped-up trends on social media, this company is operating quietly as a strategic reserve play. The U.S. government is actively willing to subsidize this space because they are painfully aware that the Western supply chain simply cannot continue to start in Beijing. U.S. Antimony benefits directly from this urgent, massive governmental push for supply chain independence.
Now, a quick reality check. Playing a shift of this magnitude isn't about logging into a brokerage app and just blindly gambling. It requires a really strict system of structured discipline. The rules laid out here are simple but crucial. Step 1. Do not chase these stocks when they shoot straight up. You have to wait for pullback buys. Enter when the market actually takes a breath. Step 2. If a trade goes against you by 10%, that's your caution light coming on. And step 3, if it hits a 20 to 25% drop, you eject, you just cut the trade. This entire strategy is about completely removing your ego from the equation.
And that brings us to the core philosophy driving this entire approach. Capital protection is absolutely paramount. Think about it. It is always better to keep 70% of your money so you have the ammunition to fight another day. The alternative? Watching a position slowly die and losing it all simply because you were too stubborn to admit you were wrong about the timing. You always protect the capital first.
Stepping back for a second, this high-stakes macroeconomic environment is about so much more than just picking a few winning stocks. We are transitioning into a brand new era of financial survival. The global dominance of the US dollar is actively being tested on the world stage right now. The global map of trade, leverage, and resources is fundamentally being redrawn right before our eyes. The ice melting up in the Arctic and this massive race for rare earths, they are just the physical manifestations of this totally new reality.
Which really leaves us with one ultimate question to ponder. As this global power shift accelerates, as massive supply chains are rerouted, and as the true sources of 21st century wealth are literally unearthed, what's your move going to be? Will you be a victim of the shift, reacting to the mainstream headlines when it's already way too late? Or will you do the research, follow where the smart money is actually going, and become an owner of the infrastructure that makes this entirely new world possible?